I love this song. All right, that's enough. It's Mardi Gras time, Joe. That's
Yes.
why I choose the song. It's not his fault, it's mine that I picked this music. So we're gonna do some housekeeping right off the top because I think everybody needs to know this. Today starts the official day of the YouTube Real Estate Video Geeks course. So you can start today, starting in January. Get yourself going for 2024 with organic leads, with the best YouTube course out there. I can say that with utter confidence because my students are getting awesome success now. They're starting to post in groups. They're so excited. Joe and I have been at this for a year and we've had little teeny tiny groups. And just so we could have make sure that what we were talking about we could be actually used and turned into a business for people, and it's starting to work for many of our students, so we're very, very excited about that.
Yes.
2024 is going to be a big year for you and for me and anybody else that decides to take our course this year, that's for sure. And because this is the last day, I know I said I was going to close it out, Joe, I'm opening it back up, $500 off, start of the new year. This will be the only time I offer this. Matter of fact, the price of this is most likely going to go up as more and more students have more success. But that being said, if you're interested and you want to do it now, $500 off. That was my hard sale right there. So,
Don't wait. If you want to change, go for it. But today we're going to be talking about thumbnails, right?
yes, thumbnails. Yeah, it's one of my favorite things. And it seems to be the one thing that we consistently talk about every single time we have channel reviews.
Right.
There is a science to thumbnails. There is some basics that everybody should be doing in their thumbnails. And for some reason that gets lost in the sauce. And I'll tell you right now, I love me some AI thumbnails, but y'all are, you're thinking that's the answer to it all.
Yeah.
There's not click it and get done, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that it's a great tool, right? It's a tool to help you, especially if you're searching for hours and hours and hours for elements to put into your thumbnail. But the problem is that no matter you'll spend just as much time trying to come up with the right prompt and it still won't work exactly how you're doing it. So it's use that element to get you the things that you need. For example, if you want some element that is really hard to find, but maybe it's like a housing bubble with a house inside a bubble and it's floating and there's this or that. AI is great at doing stuff like that. And then you take that part and you put it in the editor and you do your tweaks. I think the problem is, especially a lot of people, they think, well, if I put it in Chat GPT and Dolly, it's going to make it for me if I can craft the perfect prompt. And it just, yes, you'll get amazing things that you can use, but it's not going to, at least right now, it's not going to be able to just do the whole thing exactly how you want because it's not there yet. And so I think that's one of the biggest things that people are missing and not understanding is you use that to speed up your time. Like AI is to help speed up your time, but you're still going to need to do some work. And there are best practices with those thumbnails. And, that's the thing that I think we talk a lot about is your thumbnail is one of the most important things that people when they're getting to look at your content. That's the first thing they see. So
Right.
AI is not going to be able to do it exactly the way that, you can do it. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. But I'll also say that people miss the point of the whole entire thumbnail itself, because they can
Yeah.
even actually come up with a very beautiful thumbnail, like a beautiful image, but does it actually convey the title that you're trying to convey? If does
Yep.
that image actually show the title that you're trying to convey? Sometimes AI just cannot get it right. But you know what? Even with playing with the AI, it will give you some ideas and and you can keep trying to prompt it and it doesn't work, but you could probably come up with that with actual images themselves. So it's a good
Right.
way to flesh out ideas too. But
Right.
I want to talk about some of the mistakes that people make with their thumbnails. One of the biggest tips I can give somebody, and people have told me all the time, this is like the best tip that they've ever gotten, is take your thumbnail image and give it to a person and just say to them, what do you think this video is about by looking at this image? What do you think this is about? And if it has nothing to do with what you're talking about or your video title, then you need to start from square one again. And and then maybe ask those people, what do you think would look right in an image to convey this title? And sometimes people can come up with stuff and sometimes they can't. So that's another way to use AI. But your images should be so simple, so easy for the eye to read that a kindergartner could just discern what it's about. Like, is it
Yeah, in like a split second, not like they have to study it for a while and then go like, "Oh, okay, I see kinda how you came about to get that."
Yeah, and the other thing too is that, people, when you use your images on your thumbnail, do not put yourself
Yeah,
down here. This I mean, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to show all this, and you're putting your face on the thumbnail for branding, but this looks ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I would prefer you being this close up into your thumbnail than being all the way down here in the tiny little image. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like,
yeah.
it makes more sense for you to have your image so clear that they can see your face. If you're going to use your branding on it, don't make yourself so teeny tiny. And then you're like, but I have a really cute outfit on. Nobody cares. They want to see the expression in your face. They want to be able to see the whites of your eyes. Like, they want to see those lines in your face. And that's another thing too. Don't over uh saturate or fix your face. Don't fix your face so much that you can't even tell who you are anymore. I've seen it where people have like literally altered their tone, texture, everything so much in their face they look like cartoons
Yeah,
by the time they get done. So
yeah.
don't do that either. So what do you think is another one?
I think one of the biggest mistakes I think a lot of people make that is this one right here, where you're taking
Mhm.
a picture with your phone and you're doing it like, vertical, like,
Mhm.
and then when you take the picture, it cuts off your shoulder or your arm, and then you're just kind of like floating there. So
Right.
that's another big one. I also want to talk about a little bit about like some of the mistakes that people make, especially beginning creating thumbnails, is they try to cram so much information into the thumbnail because they're like, yeah, I want you to understand and know the story. I want to tell the story. So I have to get every little teeny element of this thing that I'm trying to educate you
Talk
on.
talk about.
And I'm also going to put in the little words that is in my title. I'm going to put that there. And then I got to make sure that I also get like a little subscribe button and my brokerage
Logo.
logo. Yeah. So
Yes.
that's another mistake is like I think when you start out, you want everyone at a glance to see it, but all that does is it just muddies the thumbnail. So less is more. A lot of times you can get away with a really, really good thumbnail by having a vibrant image, and then, like even just your face or a look of something, and then maybe another little element to kind of direct them to a specific spot if that's the thing. But I think so many people try to like add all this stuff into it, and then they want like the stroke outlined, and they want like crazy fire and all this stuff. And I'm not saying that fire doesn't work. I'm just saying that you need to know your audience and you need to like test stuff, but like cramming so much stuff in there, just it ends up hurting your video, your thumbnail, rather than helping. Because I believe and I concur. See, look, I
I
concur.
concur.
Christina got me this for Christmas. It was awesome. And I'm wearing another one. Jan Sylvester got me a shirt. It's a little drive, and then it has like a thumbnail, and it's basically saying, Luke, I'm your father. It's funny. I'll have to show you sometime. It's awesome. But yes, this is what I'm talking about. It's simple, and you know right off the bat that it's real estate because there's a for sale sign. Everyone knows what the for sale sign is, so you automatically associate that with real estate. And
Correct.
then yeah, and then you've got red that pops out. It's very easy to read and understand. And with your facial expression, it's like, oh my gosh, like what's going on?
Yeah.
It wants me, like, I'm compelled and want to click on that.
Right. Like, obviously, I'm even in shock, but I wanted to also point out how incredibly big my head is. I made
Right.
my noggin like literally almost half the size of the thumbnail because I wanted this to be the shining star,
Yep.
obviously. But then my facial expression is like I'm in shock, you know? And a few things that I did do to, uh, you know, gloss up my face a little bit is that I made the whites of my eyes whiter, like
Right.
I brightened to those, and I made my blue eyes a little bit bluer. So that way, it would just pop off the screen a little bit more.
But
But
it's
that's it.
just that's just a subtle thing, but it makes a big difference.
Correct. The whites of the eyes thing is like everybody should be doing that. Every
Yep.
single person. I actually like hit it like 4 or 5 times.
Yep.
To the point it's ridiculous, but it looks good on a thumbnail when especially when it's very small on your phone.
Yep.
Good portion of views.
They pop.
Right. So a good portion of views come from your cell phone. So you
Yep.
want them to be able to stop the scroll. And because that's how I think about uh my thumbnails is, people are getting those notifications in their phones. They grab their phone when they get a notification, and I want them to be able to distinguish what the video is about without reading the title in that thumbnail. And
Yep.
even though the title of this video has nothing to do with bidding wars, it's still going to get their attention. I did
Yep.
not use the words that are in the title in the thumbnail. The words that you should use on a thumbnail, and people make this mistake all the time, are things that grab people's attention. And anything like bidding wars is going to grab people's attention.
Yep.
It's just going to. Another thing that most people hate right now, they can't stand it. Everybody complains about it, is fire. And as
Mhm.
much as you hate fire, and like if you see fire in someone nails one more time, I'm going to vomit. It isn't
It
about what you like, it's what
it
people
works.
click on.
Yep,
It
it works.
works. It works. Do I love it? Absolutely not. No, but it works and I use it. Another thing I used a while back, and people were like, I can't believe you did that. I'm like, it works. I used a nuclear mushroom cloud. It worked.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the thing, right? Is that it's not you make the content and you make the thumbnail for what the audience wants, not what you want. I think that's the
Mhm,
biggest thing, right? A lot of people are like, "Well, I wanted to do it that way, so I did it." And it's
mhm.
like, "Great. So you will watch it and maybe your mom." And that's about it, right? And it's like, so you need to know like what are the things that are trending right now as far as certain types of style and design with thumbnails. And you'll see that a lot of people, especially if they're talking about the same thing, their thumbnails are very similar. They're not very different. And it's because the audience or the viewer is like, "Oh yeah, I like this. I'm going to click on, I'm going to watch it." And so the people that are following, they see those trends and those patterns and they make the same idea. It's not the same. They're not ripping off the thumbnail. They're putting
Right.
their own spin on it, but they know that it's going to get served up next to that other trending video. And it's like, what, you're more likely to click on that one because you clicked on this one and they're very similar.
Another thing, because we're all real estate agents, we think that we need to look like other real estate agents. And they're like, well, I saw Joe Eve's video on this, so I'm gonna do the same video on this, and then it tanks. And it's not because of the thumbnail. You can't blame the thumbnail and you can't blame the title. Sometimes it's your niche. So like my niche is completely different than Joe's niche,
Yeah.
right? And if I was to do a video and a thumbnail on something that didn't relate to my avatar or my niche, it's not going to do well, even though it did well with other real estate agents, maybe even in your market. You really need to understand what thumbnails work for your specific niche.
Yeah.
That's a big one, big one.
It is big.
Because I used to do land videos and I put my name, put my face on it. I was real creative with it. I had like for sale signs, I had bib on the whole 9 yards. I was showing land. That didn't work. As soon as I just took my face off of it, boom, it started working. But it was because I started looking at other channels that were only talking about land. Their whole channel was about land, that I realized they don't have their faces on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I took my face off and boom, it started working.
Right. And you bring up a good point, is that you went out and you were doing some like studying, and you
Right.
looked at like other channels and you're like, wow, why are they getting so much more views? It's similar, like a similar niche, but I'm not. And it was really one of those things where it was as simple as just taking yourself off of it. It may be just as simple as adding yourself. It really, there's not like, we're not saying that if you're going to do poorly if you have your picture, like, you're going to have a lot of like branding coaches and marketing people say you have to brand yourself, and your face has to be on everything. If you're doing YouTube and you have a niche that is, the thumbnails are taking off in a specific area, but their face isn't on it, you shouldn't be putting your face on it. You have to follow that, because that's like understanding how YouTube works, and that it's going to that viewer. Like, they're more likely to click on it, and your click through rate. I mean, that's part of like understanding if you have a good thumbnail or not. Maybe Christina, talk a little bit about that, because I don't know if a lot of people understand how important that relationship is. And maybe some people are like, well, I'm just making a thumbnail, I'm putting it up, and then it didn't get any traction, so I'm just going to change it, and they just change it completely. What do you think about that?
So if you've done your homework for your thumbnail properly, like, and you understand what people click on, right? And you've looked at other channels that have successful thumbnails. Whenever you make your thumbnail and that first thumbnail that didn't work, you're like, I did everything right. You should have backup thumbnails that are very similar to the thumbnail that you started with, the one that you researched, that you knew did well on other channels. Was it the arrow? Was it the words? Is it the color of the grass? Was it clear enough? Like, you have to really kind of think about this. Was it too cartoony? Because I did a thumbnail that was kind of almost too cartoony looking, and it did terrible. And it should have done well, that because it was in a bucket that does well. So it was my own fault. It was really my own fault. And then, after a while, sometimes even I do this. Like, I'll put out a video. I've done a few thumbnails, and I'm like, okay, whatever, it didn't work, and I just go away from it. But it's a learning lesson, because then the next time I know, well, that didn't work. I walked away from that thumbnail. I walked away from those views. Now I can put it into my next video, and I know what I need to do for the next time. So that way, more people will watch it. And, a lot of times it's a repeat of information anyway. So,
Right.
It's okay that you make the same video again, just changing up the title a bit, and then, putting in what knowledge you learned from the last thumbnail into the next one.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, well, why would you do that though? Because you've already made that video. And the thing that they don't understand is that it's not the same person that's going to watch that. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to, like, YouTube is big. There's lots, like billions and billions of views every day. So it's not like you're going to just hit the same person every time. But if you have that content and you really work on that thumbnail and really get them to gravitate towards it, your chances of them clicking and actually watching the video are so much higher. And I know a lot of people put a lot of effort into filming the video, to scripting the video, to editing the video, hours and hours doing all of this stuff. And it's so disappointing when you upload and then you get 2 views, 20 views,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Like, you're like, I did all of this work
For
and
nothing.
nobody's watching it.
For
And
nothing.
yeah, yeah. And a lot of it is because you're not doing your thumbnail right. That's
Yeah.
that's the first thing that people see. So they're not enticed enough to stop scrolling and go, what are they talking about? What
Mm-hmm.
is that? What are they doing there? And you may think, well, it's just luck. Some people have luck, other
Heard that
people
a lot.
don't. It's not
It's not.
luck. They understand the viewer, and they
Mm-hmm.
understand that, hey, if I'm following a pattern that someone else is doing in my niche, it has to relate to what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can follow that, then the chances of people actually watching your video goes up tremendously if you follow that pattern. And every niche is going to have different patterns of how thumbnails look and how they're designed and where they're laid out. So it really is a ton of it's so important to have the right thumbnail, and then to, like you said, to have a backup if it's like, oh, this isn't quite working, let's swap it out really quick and see if we can get some more engagement.
Biggest question I always get, when should I swap out the thumbnail? And so I'm going to give you the answer right now. Whenever you have been doing content for a period of time, you know, in your whatever playlist is, like let's just say it's a playlist about land, you know, within the first hour, if you've been tracking this, how many views you should be getting within that first hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. If it's way below the average that you normally get, then you need to change out the thumbnail immediately. And don't change the title, change out the thumbnail. And then, you know, truck along. If it doesn't change anything with your video's performance, try another thumbnail. I usually have like the minimum 3, the maximum I have about 5 thumbnails. Now, YouTube has a feature now that has A/B/C testing. Now, if you use something like TubeBuddy, they have A/B testing. And the biggest mistake that anybody can make is to immediately use that feature for your thumbnails.
Yeah.
Because it literally makes no sense to do that. You need to follow exactly how your channel's running within that first 24 to 48 hours. You know how long a video is performing and if it's not performing. You need to be manually doing that. If the video after 3 or 4 days has fizzled out, it really didn't do crap, then try the ABC testing tool. Don't use those immediately because you might be cutting off views right at the knees because you kept switching out the thumbnails and you weren't using the one that was successful, you know, within those first 3 hours. Cause you know, it constantly is changing it. So just
Yeah.
be aware.
The other thing too is depending on your channel, if it's a new channel, or you don't, you know, you haven't put out a ton of content out, you don't really know what your views are typically like yet. So some people are like, well, I released it and it's doing terrible, but it just needed a minute to kind of marinate, and then all of a sudden YouTube picks it up and then it gets views. But in the beginning, you may be like a little disappointed, like, well, it should have gotten way more views than this. But if you don't have a track record of getting a lot of views, and you know, then it's fine to swap it out. But if it's a newer channel and you don't really know, let it ride for a little bit. And then if it's like, okay, I'm not getting anything, then swap it out. Just test it. A lot of this stuff that we're talking about is like, you just kind of have to test it and see, okay, did this get more click-through rate or not? But that includes like going into your analytics and seeing like what the video is actually doing. So it takes work. It's not something that you can just set it and then you forget about it and it's like, okay, it's fine. Like it's going to totally take off. You have to constantly be, you know, monitoring it for the first, you know, little bit to see where it's going to go.
You know, the thing is that like somebody will tell me, and we just had this happen. We had a student, they had just launched their channel and they were saying, well, we don't have enough data yet to really make those decisions. I didn't even have to look at their back end analytics, right? I immediately could see from the, like, was it 6 videos they had out, which thumbnails and which content was actually resonating with an audience.
Yep.
And I immediately said, look, it's obvious you need to have your face on there. Obviously, you know, your stock imagery does not work because it stopped doing that. And then they had one that was kind of like an infographic type of
they started
thumbnail.
cramming stuff in there.
Yeah, and it literally was like the worst performing. I'm like, you already have the answer. Like you it's obvious.
The
right
audience
here.
is telling you they like clean and your face on it.
Yep, you got to put your noggin on there. So that was interesting. They were like, "Oh wow, I just didn't think I had enough data." Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. There's so much you can see in even the smallest of channels.
Right.
So don't think, well, I've only been doing this. I only have 10 videos up. Well, there's 10 videos that we can at least
you can go back and look at.
make some decisions off of it. You know. So numbers don't lie. What is
No.
it? Daryl says data doesn't lie.
Yep.
Those are some data points for you. So if you have any questions in the chat, you're more than welcome to ask any question that you want. We will be doing channel reviews today. We only have 2 for some reason.
Yeah, there was one that we got entered in like 3 times, so he really
Uh,
wants us to do it. So
we're definitely going to do it. If I'm going to plug this again because we only have 2 hours left. I'm sorry, like an hour and a half left before the newest group of students are going to be coming through our course. We are only offering it this one time with $500 off for the beginning of the year. So this is your time to shine. And I think one person is actually just bought it and is going to take it the next time around because they wanted to save the $500.
yeah.
So if you want to even do that, that's fine too.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, once you have a
mhm,
membership, once you sign up, you have it for life. And the thing is that we truly are like invested in helping our students. We want them to succeed. We have lots and lots of resources that we over the last year have built and that we continue to build that we add value to our students, and we really want them to succeed. And a lot of it it takes time and it takes work. So, you know, if you're really committed and you want to get leads and you want to increase your business, then we have tips and tricks and strategies that are proven that will help you grow your channel. That we have what's awesome is it's starting to take a little bit of time, but now we're getting students that are finding success and that they're getting like stuff that we got a testimonial from one of them. They're like, I've been doing YouTube for a year and the most views I got was 20 views. And her
mhm,
last video, or the second to last video she just did like 2 weeks ago, has almost 20,000 views.
mhm.
And she's got 300 subscribers. She's like ecstatic. She's like, I've never had, you know, views even close to this. And she's like, I've been working a long time. And she was able to speed up all of those things by going through and learning what, you know, like what we teach. So
So Jen Sylvester wants to know if we're gonna give some
Ginsu.
Ginsu knives with the discount on the course. No, no. I think the discount code is Go Big 2024. So you have to put
Yeah.
that in there. Yeah, and it only worked for today. Like we turned it back on just for today for those little people that were thinking the last minute. You know, they
Yeah. That's,
they got their credit card bills from Christmas and they're like, oh, maybe I can't do it
I
after
got to go
all.
sell a house. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just need to sell a house. So, we did get a last minute submission, living in Austin, with kids. She, uh, she says if you have time for a third. Honestly, you're in the chat, my friend.
Yeah. Let's do it now.
Yeah, let's do yours now. Are you ready for it? If you want us to do it right now, we'll do it for you because you're in the chat. I always prioritize the people that are actually in the chat first. I don't see the other two
I don't
that are.
see her I don't see it in the email. Maybe did she just submit it?
No, I think she was saying that she would submit it, but we can
Oh,
do it.
well, she could just put it in the chat if she wants.
Well, it's living in Austin with kids.
Okay. Did
So
you find it?
I'm gonna go ahead and find it. She's like, oh man, here we go.
Mhm.
Oh, living in Austin
Hey,
with
this is
kids.
one of the things that like we're not here to like tear anyone down or anything. We want people to succeed, and so the stuff that we're giving, like it's to help, not to. We're not doing this to criticize or make fun. We literally want you to succeed.
That's why we offer our course is literally coaching for life. It's like one on one. You talk to us every week. Jen Sylvester will tell you she was one of our first students. She took the course, took a step back on some personal stuff, and came back. And she's like everybody's treated exactly the same. It's and sometimes it's a little tough love. You can't like I'm the mean one.
Mhm.
And Joe's the nice one. Well, look at Jennifer Martin. What a wonderful picture, a profile picture. Lovely. Nice, easy to read. Green shirt. Love it. Good profile picture. Can you see this, Joe?
Yep, yep, I could see it.
All right. Jennifer Martin, home and land, Austin living, relocating, investing. Jennifer Martin. And then she's got all her information. So what you want to say now on her
So obviously, the biggest things is like really work on that value proposition. And right now, it's all about you rather than about your client. So you really want people to see that, hey, yes, you do real estate, which is great, But give them almost that Austin living, relocating, investing. Those are kind of three different things too. But I guess what I would say is make that a little bit bigger, or something to do with the real estate side, and yourself and your logo, and that doesn't need to be as big. I like the picture. I think the picture's great. I
Mhm.
like the colors.
Yep.
Definitely don't need your email on there,
Your
or any of that
number.
other stuff.
Nope. I would add that you don't need to add subscribe now either. There's no reason for that.
Yep, people know how to do that already.
Yep, and your name.
Where do the tiny URLs go? You actually, that's another thing, is get rid of those tiny URLs and actually have the actual URL.
Right. You know why? And I'm like, so years ago, Google used to have their own URLs, right? So Google got rid of them, and everybody had these like tiny URLs to make them smaller, so they, you didn't have this running thing that goes across there. Now, what YouTube does is they truncate it off, so
Yep.
it only does so many characters, and then it truncates off, and you don't see all the extra stuff
Yeah, you
anyway.
don't need all that stuff in there. It does it automatically.
And honestly, YouTube hates tiny URL. They don't want you to use them. They want you to use the actual websites because they don't want to have to search to make
Yep.
sure that's a legitimate
They're
website.
crawling it.
Yeah. With those links that you do have here, though, you have a lot going to your other social media sites. Unless you have a humongous following on these other social media sites, you don't really want to take them off the platform of YouTube unless there's a reason for them to get off the platform. And we always say, Joe and I, our advice is if you're going to take them off platform, have them fill out a form so they can contact you, whether that be through a Calendly or some kind of form. So you have their information with their cell phone number and their email address so you can capture them as a lead.
Yep. I
Yep.
agree. Yeah, all of that other stuff you don't need.
Yep.
Honestly, if you'll lighten that up, then you give people one option. Then option is when they click on it, it's to book a call or to schedule a showing or something like that. But it's just a simple a simple squeeze page, or a simple landing page that collects your data with a simple form.
With your about section, like I love this first sentence. Moving across the country across the state or country is stressful. Add in the pressure of picking out the right neighborhood and schools for your kids can feel overwhelming. I would say with uh, with having 4 children myself, I understand how this could be really difficult for you. And then you explain what you can do for them
Yep.
because you're coming from that. But like this was pretty good. I just reworded this just a scotch. The other thing though, and I know that you're very proud of these awards that you have, but nobody else cares. I mean, we in the real estate field care, but other people don't really. I would just take all that off. There's no reason.
Yep.
It means nothing to those. It's like I used to have all these awards in my office. There were just these resin plastic resin awards that they give you, and no one knew what they were for. No one knew what it was about. There was just another piece of plastic. So I just threw them all away recently. I'm like, what am I doing? Yeah. All right, here we go. All right, so this is perfect. So this is what we're talking about, thumbnails, right? So how to file your homestead exemption. This to me would be like a YouTube short. That's what it should have been. Is a YouTube short. I don't know why it truncated it over here. Probably because it wasn't vertical.
Yeah, that's what it looks like, a screenshot, like a screen recording.
A screen recording. And then I would try to I would come up with a thumbnail for this because it just is like the bottom of your computer screen. Maybe you're adding this to an email list. That would make more sense.
That video actually could be a really great video if it was a little bit longer, and talking about people when they relocate, how they could save on their taxes. That would be a great video if you actually educated people on why it's so important to get that tax exemption.
Well, one of my more successful videos before I knew what I was doing was about homestead.
Yeah.
So, like save big by filing your homestead.
Yep.
People go like, "Wow."
Yeah.
Saving
And then
money on
just
your
make.
taxes with filing your homestead.
Yeah. Yeah, that would go much better. And I know a lot of it's like, well, I'm just helping. It's probably, she was like, hey, helping you, understand, because this is something that's coming up and I'm getting a lot of questions. So I'm just going to show someone really quick and then they throw it on their YouTube channel. I'm just guessing. It may
Mhm.
not be like that, but that is actually could be a great video for you. Definitely you didn't do a thumbnail. It doesn't even look like it. Looks like it was maybe uploaded.
It just
Like,
looks like it was just uploaded. They just kind of,
yeah. So,
YouTube picked the thumbnail. So
yeah. So anyway, just looking at that, but we could go off of some other thumbnails then.
yeah. So this one right here, property rights for the rich living in Austin with kids. Is this is it a live stream? No, it's a video. So I would have live nearby. I would take that off and just show the pictures of the people. Um I don't really understand the title though. Property rights for the rich. I would have been like, I guess would have had like somebody with like holding a bunch of money with a mansion in the background.
Yeah, like bags of money or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, something more, and then with a big mansion in the background. But there's no words that need to be on there as far as I'm concerned. I think of a thumbnail as like the story. Like, whenever rag magazines are selling something, they're selling that story in the imagery first. So that's what you want to do with your thumbnail too.
Yep. I agree.
So this is a property tour. So I would have shown the Airbnb family home for sale. I would have shown the house. And I'm sure that like behind the words, maybe there's the picture of the kitchen, but you can't really see it because there's words all over the thumbnail.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like she uploaded that to send to a client today for that exemption thing.
Gotcha.
So,
And go ahead.
well, I was just going to say, here's a tip. Like, if you're doing that, don't do that on your YouTube channel. Like,
Uh-huh.
find another way to send it, because what that ends up doing is it confuses YouTube, and it's like, oh, well, okay, now I need to send it. Like it's this. You have something going, and then you throw something in as an afterthought. And I know we think, oh, it's just YouTube. It doesn't really matter, but it really does matter. So if you have another YouTube account that you put all of that stuff on that you could then send to them. But if you're going to try to grow your YouTube channel, you need to be consistent to your niche, and that's a great message for that, but it needs to follow that same trend of being a long form video, not like a quick screen grab.
So she's been putting out content for a very long time. I would tell you though, is that you need to have some kind of content strategy, because it looks like you're giving tips on some things, then you're doing reviews on others, and then it's kind of like you're kind of all over the place with your content strategy. So I would work on your content strategy for 2024. Find out who your avatar is and work on that strategy.
Yeah.
But all in all, I mean, you've been at it. Congrats. Good for you. And you're cute as a button, man. Like, show your face more. Like these little pictures of your face where you can't even see you. Show your face. You're pretty. Smile more. They say. No, I definitely put you on there. Yeah, put your face on there. People want to see it. All right. Thank you very much for letting us review your channel. And
yes.
She said thanks. All right, we're gonna do this one. This guy really wanted to be reviewed. This was the one that put it in 3 times.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. So this is Alex Nantes out of Florida. He's a realtor living in Florida, selling amazing Florida homes. AmazingFloridaHomes.com. Call anytime. Coldwell Banker, subscribe, YouTube channel, and all the social media stuff on there. All right, I'm going to do the banner this time. You can do it the next time.
You got it.
So on your image, you're actually turning away from the camera, or turning away from people. You're facing this way instead of facing this way, So I would flip your image around so you're facing more towards the person that would be looking at. I mean, it's petty, I know, but trust me, it makes sense, because it looks like you're kind of like walking away from the words instead of walking towards the words. And then the other thing is, like living in Florida life, are you like, to me, whenever I hear living in, I'm thinking that it's like a tourist thing. Like, oh,
Mhm.
you're going to explain to me what it's like being a tourist or coming there and living in this area. And I know that's like a thing with a lot of real estate agents, but makes more sense that you would say moving to instead of living in. Just saying. And I would make some kind of value proposition, like like I would say selling the most amazing Florida homes. That's a value proposition, right?
Yep.
And then you have a lot of this stuff off over to the left with all your social medias. Take it all off of there. You don't want to take them off the platform of YouTube. So just take this off. There's no reason to have it. If your broker requires you to have your logo, just put it over here in the left-hand corner where it wouldn't be seen like necessarily on a mobile or iPad type device. Anything else?
I agree. The thing I would do with that
Mm-hmm.
is you're in Florida. It's beautiful. Like show some show some palm trees, show some beaches, or show, I think he was in like Sarasota or something. Like there's a lot of stuff you could do that would make that just, again, really drive that beauty and that factor of like, hey, this is an amazing place.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. There's a lot of stuff going on with it. It's okay. But me personally, I always like kind of that, you know, kind of the location. If you're going to do something like that for a location, show kind of that location in
I concur, Joe Eves.
it.
Good
Good.
point. Good, thanks. The background on this and his image, I like it. I think it
Yeah,
looks great.
it
Good
pops.
profile picture. Yep. Thank you for not using a logo as your profile picture. I appreciate that. All right, here we go. How oh scream. Tampa, Florida. Moving to Sarasota, Florida. Sold Beach. Okay, again, you're gonna need some kind of I mean, it's hard to talk about your thumbnails when you don't really have a content strategy. And if you're talking about buying and selling a home, how does Busch Gardens Hollow Scream have to do with anything about buying or selling a home? It doesn't. So it doesn't belong here. So if you had a content strategy where you understood your avatar and you were, let's just say, talking about relocation, you would talk about all the places that people are relocating from to go to your specific area. You wouldn't be talking about Hollow Scream at Busch Gardens. Am I right,
You're
Joe?
right. You are right. I think it's kind of a common theme that, we see a lot is, people don't have any kind of strategy and they don't think that it really matters. All that matters is that I'm uploading to YouTube.
Right.
But then they're like, well, man, I'm mad. I uploaded this and it's been 7 months and I've got like 100 views or something. Like there's lots of things that play into that. So there's a lot more to it. And it's not rocket science. It's not like it's like this secret thing. It's just understanding what YouTube wants. And if you can understand that, then your views are going to go up. But you have to be like what you were saying with the other agent about, like, get a strategy, get a playlist. And part of that is, if people don't know what we're talking about, it means like pick a niche. And your
Mhm.
location is not your niche. We talk about that all the time, that Sarasota is not your niche. That's a location.
Mhm.
So what is it in Sarasota or anywhere else that that you want to sell? Are you working with relocation? Excuse me, relocation? Are you working with new construction? Are you working with affordable housing? Probably not in Sarasota, but like, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
there's those types of things. So part of your strategy should be like, okay, I'm working with, investors or second time, like people that have second, third homes. Like you need to have that strategy, and then that message needs to be consistent and concise with your thumbnails, with your titles, and your content. And if you could, I think we see this every single time we do channel reviews, is that
Mhm.
they're just all over the place. And if you want like a really big tip, is focus on one thing and get really, really good at it and put that on YouTube. Like that's when you're going to see success.
Alex, I'm going to tell you my biggest piece of advice. I just went through all your videos. and you have like videos of your kids, you have videos about homeschooling, you have videos about like that are only like 17 seconds long, which is more like almost like a meme going on here. I would strongly suggest, if you're really wanting to invest time and effort into getting organic leads on YouTube, to walk away from this channel and start a brand new one with a content strategy. I don't think this one can be revived. I think this one has seen its highest it's going to get, in my opinion. In my opinion.
Yeah.
What do you say?
I agree. I mean, you can, if you want to keep doing your family stuff and everything, now you got a channel you could put it on. But
Mhm.
if you're really trying to get organic leads, if you're trying to grow your real estate business, then you need to be a little bit more structured, and you need to have a strategy moving into 2024 on how you're going to get those leads and what you're going to do to get that. And Daryl talks a lot about this. This is spaghetti against the wall. Like, that
Mhm.
approach does not work. It's something that you have to be super dedicated on a specific niche, and then just focus on that niche with that new channel that you create, and really look at the thumbnails. Like, that's the biggest thing, is really study thumbnails. This is the other thing, is I'm going to drop a little nugget here. We teach this in our course, but all the real estate agents always look at other real estate agents' channels, and then they go off of that, instead of channels that actually like focus on what their niche is about, or that is getting, good traffic. And so when you focus on it, don't look at what Christina said at the beginning of the channel, or at the beginning of the stream, is don't try to make your video because this person made it. Like, make the video because that's what your audience wants to watch. Or if you have a brand new channel, then you create that audience by putting the content consistently to that type of person, or that niche. And
That
that's,
avatar.
yeah, that's the biggest thing I think we preach, because we see this in every single channel review, is the spaghetti against the wall, where they've uploaded everything, and then they're banging their head against the wall going, why am I not getting any views? Like, I'm not getting anything, or I'm not getting what I think I should get. And it's specifically for that reason, because
Mhm.
YouTube doesn't know who to show your video to.
I concur, Joe Eves.
I got off my soapbox now.
Yep. Alex, thank you very much for submitting your channel. I know it
Yes.
takes some bravery to do something like that, so I appreciate you doing it. And hopefully you'll have some success in 2024 with it. So, all right, I know this guy. He actually took Daryl Eves' course. This is Chris Igo. Met him in Vid Summit, not this year, but the year prior in California. I don't know if he was in Dallas. I might have missed him. I don't
Mm.
know. It's Dallas was a blur, man.
Yep, it went by
So
fast.
yeah. So Chris, I don't know if you know this, but they don't have the clickable links here on the banners. They used to have them here. Now they don't have that anymore. So take that off of there. You don't need to tell them to subscribe. Housing and market analysis for everyone. Yeah, just leave that on there. Like, take the subscribe off.
That's what I would do, is have
Mhm.
that big, and just get
Mhm.
rid of it.
But he's got a dapper face on his banner there. It looks fine.
Yep.
Looking good, my friend. Looking good. I like how you sharpened this image. You see how like the colors are saturated
Yep.
and you sharpened it. You didn't do that with your actual profile picture. I would like do that down here too.
Yep.
Uh, Look at this. Real estate professional, retired stockbroker. Dude, we're going to tell you the same thing we're telling everybody here. You want them to contact you. Like, who cares about your Patreon and all this other stuff? You want them to contact you. So have a contact form
Yeah.
here.
Get a lead.
Get a lead. That's what you want, right?
Then they can buy you a lot of coffee.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't need them to click a link to buy you a coffee. Your monetization will do that for you.
Yeah.
So let's look at the thumbnails. Yeah, he has now he has a distinct thumbnail pattern that he's been using. I
Yep.
actually saw this the other day. The only thing I would tell you is I think you would need to simplify them. I think they're busy. What do you say?
Let me look at him for a minute here. So
Uh-huh.
he's using mainly the consistent look. He's
Yeah.
white the eyes. Um, his text is getting cut off a little bit. So they changed the way that they crop those. So you got to
Right.
they make them circle now. So you got to bring it in just a little teeny bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Go down a little bit more. I want to see a couple other ones that he's got. Yeah, I mean, he definitely has the consistency. The one thing I think that he could do is like his face and everything is like he's really
Mm-hmm.
done a good job of adding the white to the eyes and all of that
Mm-hmm.
for himself. But then when you go like for example, this other one, they're clear to close, canceled, and then the bombshell, right?
Yeah.
The y the stock photo or whatever that he's using right there is, like, way muted, and you could
Mm-hmm.
brighten that up even just a little bit, greener grass, blue sky on that one little side over there, all those things would pop a little bit more. Definitely, his text needs to move in, but just, like, little teeny things like that would, I think, do a big difference on it. It would at least be a lot more eye-catching when you're scrolling because it stands out more. It would be a little bit more saturated than what he's got right now.
And even like this one, like because he's putting the words on the top, it's squishing, like it's cutting off their top of their head. Like I
Yeah,
wouldn't. It's people are leaving Florida in droves. You don't need to have the words "Don't move to Florida" on there.
yeah,
Like if it like you could have used that for a title instead, right?
yep.
That would have been a great title. There's no reason to have the words on there.
Or just take that off completely and just leave the bombshell there if
Mhm.
he kinda likes that, so have that there, or have the state of Florida,
Yeah.
outlined.
Yeah. Yep. And then, like, if you're gonna use, DeSantis, like, make his noggin bigger. Like,
Yeah,
he's kinda squished down there.
fill that whole screen up.
Even with his lifts on, he's still too small. You gotta make him bigger. Alright, we're gonna scroll down a little bit. Uh, yeah, you use this bombshell thing a lot.
Mhm.
So, um, the other thing too is I would work on the length of your videos a little bit. They just seem to be under 8 minutes. So if you could just bump that up a bit. And this is not gonna work. This isn't about real estate. I understand that people, like, would probably wanna know or whatever, but that would be like if you have a Patreon, put it on Patreon.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put this on YouTube. Yep. Doo-doo-doo. And
Yeah.
I knew this wasn't gonna work, by the way. I saw Chris Igo. I was gonna tell you this. Paul Likens came out with that video, and I
Mhm.
saw that you did the video and then with the same thing, like, on there and stuff, and I knew it wasn't going to work because it isn't for your specific avatar. That's why it wasn't gonna work. Yeah, I mean, like, not to the success that Paul Likens did. Now,
Yeah.
it did do well for you, obviously, but not to the same level. You don't typically talk about, condos. That isn't in your, repertoire, right? That isn't something you have had success on prior. So, then you threw that in there. It talked about Florida, but,
Yeah, it's
as soon as
more
it
of a
came out
marketing, like investment marketing channel, like analysis channel.
correct, correct,
Condos are kind of affordable, and well, depending on where you're at, they're more of that affordable housing type thing.
right, and yeah, exactly. So I just would, simplify these a little bit because, like, I mean, even like this is just has so much going on. There's just so many elements there. It's just hard to even know what to focus on. And then when you look all that, I don't even know what the video is about. Like if I was not to look at the title, I'd say change my mind, $100,000 and a home for sale. I'd be like, he's buying a house for
And
$100,000.
then he's not, or the money's burning. Yeah.
Yeah, I just like in my opinion, I would be like, what you're buying a house for $100,000 and you want someone to change your mind about it. That like you gotta think of it that way. Anything else, my friend, Joe?
I mean, he's consistent. That's
Oh,
awesome.
yeah. Oh,
Very,
yeah.
very
He's always been.
consistent.
As soon as he was in, Daryl's, he was like, I I'm in it to win it.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
he took no prisoners. There was a guy that did it with him, and he didn't do what he was supposed to do. And
Yeah.
I get him on all the time. I'm like, how come you're not doing this? Oh, I'm gonna get back to it. He never got back to it. But Chris
Yeah.
he is definitely consistent.
Yeah.
I think you just need to like maybe revisit Daryl's course again, maybe go through it one more time,
Yeah.
just a refresher. I know that you already took it, but that doesn't mean you
He
can't.
has added a lot of new stuff too. So if you haven't been
Yeah.
on it for a while, you probably ought to look at it again.
Yeah. Yeah. There's been it's updated quite a bit. Yep. So that's my advice. And that is our last
We have one, Stephanie Olvera, Southern Utah or Southern California. Do you see that one?
no.
There you go.
Uh-huh.
She submitted one for review. I didn't see it in there. So
Uh-huh.
do you wanna see if
Yeah,
you
I'm
can
just gonna
find
do a
her
little
channel?
searchy. So Stephanie. And oh my God. PH. Stephanie, what's her last name?
And then it has space let's see, Olvera, Olivera, and then like a dash Southern California real estate.
Okay.
See if we can find it that way.
There we are.
There it is.
Cute as a button. All right. Stephanie, realtor, living in Southern California, buying, selling, investing, relocating. Got a lot of niches there.
Yep. So I'll do this one, and at least in the beginning, same thing, like have the value proposition there. You got living in Southern California. You could have like the skyline of Southern California or the beach or anywhere that you're at with that. The picture's fine. I think it's great. Her colors are great. You definitely don't need the Instagram or your email or new videos every week. The subscribe, that stuff, just
All of
get
it can
rid.
come off.
Yep, just get rid of all of that. And then really just I would focus more on like that value proposition of like, buying and selling real estate in Southern California. Like that would be, and then your name, smaller there.
Right. Well, the name of the channel is her name. So you don't need to have it on the banner, right?
Yeah. If she did want it, you can move it over, but your picture there, I would focus more on like I think a skyline would look great. You could still use your purple and have that in there kind of as like the sun setting or something like that.
Yeah. Yep. I do like her profile picture though. Looks very nice.
Yep. It's very good.
Let's look at her about section. All right. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is that
she got two eyes in high.
Yeah. She got two eyes, but that doesn't even matter because the first paragraph is about you.
Right.
I would make the first paragraph. This channel is just about listings and floor plans. Like I would start it there.
Yep.
Because they don't make it about them first and then let them know about you. I would always put all the front information for them first and then about you. Because I hate to tell you this, the world is cruel. Nobody cares about you. They want to know what's in it for them. So let's look at your links. Same thing we've been telling everybody about the links. I would take off your Instagram and TikTok unless you have a huge social following on those platforms, but I would not do that. But I do love the fact, the first link.
Perfect.
First link. Thank you. The first link goes straight to a form to fill out. It gets all their information. I swear to you when I tell you, you're like one of 100 people that don't do it. You're the one who actually does it. I appreciate that. Yay!
Yeah. That's great.
Yes. That's very smart. I just get rid of all this other stuff, the TikTok and the Instagram. There's no reason for that. So let's go ahead and look at your content here. Let's go to the videos. Okay, so we're doing home tours, I'm assuming. Yes. Okay, so I actually talked to somebody today about home tour channels. So Joe and I have been doing YouTube for a long time, and the one thing that we know for a fact that when it comes to home tour channels, the ones that have the most success have two things on it, and that's it.
Yep.
The first thing is the price. The second thing is the house, and all the other crap is taken off. What do you say, Joe?
I agree 100%. That's all you need. They want to see the price and they want to see the house. You don't
Yep.
need the subdivision, you don't need the different plans, all of that stuff. You can talk about that in the video.
Yep. And if you're like using this to attach to a like a blog or an email blast, just unlist those type of videos. There's
Yep.
no unless this is the only reason you're using this YouTube channel is just to kind of host these things for email blasts. But the most successful touring channels I've seen, they have the house on their thumbnails and they have the price very big, and that's it. With a blue skyline, the photos are hyper saturated and over sharpened. But
Yep.
that's what works, and it's usually like right at the front of the
Yep.
house.
Right at it. The other thing that most of them have in common is that they're all long, like over 15 minutes long.
Yeah, the ones that I've seen are like 20 to 24 minutes.
Yep.
Yep. But I mean, if you can't do that, at least like try to do that. One more thing is that whenever you're titling these, I know that you're trying to put in the address or the area. You can write that in the description to captivate the right kind of audience. But for the title to get more traction, I would use titles that work for those successful touring channels. One word that always seems to really help is what do they always say? What are those words?
Inside.
Inside. That was it. That was the word I was looking for. Inside this Chino, California home. But it's usually the price. Inside this over $700,000 Chino, California home.
Yep.
Those are the ones seem to do really well. Yep. And you used to put your picture on here, and then you stopped putting your picture on there, which was smart for home tours. Very smart.
Yeah, the other thing along with that is if you're going to continue to do the home tour, which is great because it's a great source, you can definitely get a lot of leads from that. Is make sure that you shorten that title. It's way too long, and a lot of people used to make the title and they would put the address just like what you were saying because they were hoping that it would show up when people search Google. Right. That was like the whole thing, but it doesn't work that way anymore. Like Google already knows what your video is about and all of that stuff. So if you're saying the address in it, it knows all of that stuff already. The idea is really to get them to, one, have the picture really stop the scroll, and then two, the title to give them that like, oh wow, that juicy title of I got to click on this, and then you can do that home tour.
But
and a lot of them
already improved though. Look, I mean, like this was 2 months ago, and there was all these words and tiny pictures and all this stuff. I mean, these thumbnails down here are a mess. But if you go, I mean, she's learned, like she simplified it.
Yeah.
So you're getting better every time you upload. Good for you.
Yep. I again, the biggest thing is just clean that thumbnail up.
Yep.
You don't need all that extra text at the bottom. And I would, if you're going to do those prices, I would put those prices all the way across the top of that. And sometimes you did it on some of the thumbnails where it kind of goes in behind the roof line of the house. So it kind of is hidden a little bit.
Okay. So when we talk about content strategy, I know a lot of you are doing shorts, but you're doing two different things. So like I just talked to somebody else that was doing this too. They had a home tour channel and then they were doing tips and tricks as their shorts. Two totally different avatars. If you're doing home tours, your shorts should be home tours too, of the best parts of the homes that you just toured, right? So like stick with the avatar that you're wanting to attract. And I would like your shorts should be home tours as well. And then you have something here for unboxing the Home Steady M6. Nobody cares about that. Go ahead and take that off of there. That doesn't relate to your avatar or even real estate.
I concur.
You concur, Joe Eves?
I do.
Hopefully that was Stephanie. Was that good enough? I hope we did okay.
Yeah. She's
Maybe
definitely, you can see she's definitely has, like you said, she's
Mhm.
made significant improvements, just from when she started uploading or adding the videos to now. So,
Mhm.
and the fact that she's got her contact form there where they can get a hold of her, that's obviously one of the biggest goals in this is getting calls so that you can work with people. And, just moving forward, if you can work on those two things and then really provide that value, then people will want to talk to you. They'll want to work with you because you've helped them understand something that they've been searching for. And it's a rare way to get a lead as a real estate agent. Most of the time you get these leads that are cold, that you nurture over a year, and then they show up unexpectedly, you're not available or something happens and they go with someone else. These types of leads, when you work with YouTube leads, they are totally different than when you have a lead that is from, like a Facebook ad or like a long drip campaign where they wanted a market analysis or a neighborhood packet or a relocation guide. Like those things, they fill out all of those. But when someone is actually following you and someone is actually learning, and that's why having that content strategy the same is they will then want to follow you more until you help them with that pain point, which is buying a house or selling a house.
I concur, Joe Eves. I concur. First, I want to let you know we did review your channel. I hope you got to see that. We have some good advice for you there, and we want you to be successful. So, thank you so much, Stephanie, for allowing us to review your channel. I appreciate
Yes.
everybody that does allow us to do that, because honestly, I know it can be like a little scary to do that, but you're really benefiting everybody else that watches this and watches it on the replay. So, I appreciate every single one of you. One last thing, one last plug I got to give you. You have less than an hour, 1 hour, less than 1 hour. You can get the $500 discount for our group coaching. It is lifetime coaching for $3,000, but you get $500 off if you use the coupon code Go Big. In the description of this video is the link to that specific discount. If you go to the website and you just go to pay for it, you're not going to get that discount. So make sure you use that link and use the code Go Big 2024.
Yeah,
So,
we are starting in like less than 1 hour.
less than 1 hour. We're starting with a new course, new group of people.
I'm
I'm
excited. We got a lot of good people that's joined. I'm really
We've had some
excited.
good people. Yeah. And we've had so much success with our students that have already finished and are continuing to get better every time they release a video. So it's been the end of this year has been very exciting. So I'm very excited for 2024. So, all right, everybody, if you have any suggestions for us, you want us to talk about next week, we'll gladly take anything that you want to talk about. And we hope to see you next week. Thank you so much, everybody.
All right.
Bye.
See you guys.
Be good. Stay to